What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome into the CHGO Bulls podcast. Coming to you live from our studios here in West Loop, downtown Chicago. I'm Peck, Bulls_Peck, Big Dave, Bow. BAWL Sports, Will the Go Gottlieb, Will_Gottlieb.
It's great.
And our pal producer on the controls, it's Joey Spathis. He is at Joey Spathis. Shout out to Daniel Barry saying, hey, everyone, happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday to you and everyone out there in Bulls Nation.
You know what I just noticed?
What's up, Dave?
That all of you all have hairy legs, but I don't. That just popped in my head watching that.
That's what makes the gam shine?
Yeah.
The lack of, I got some Yeti legs.
Yeti legs.
And feet, too.
Hairiness is definitely a quality of people among my tribe.
And thus mine as well.
And thus Joseph as well.
Okay, all right. I mean, mine is all up here, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your hair is much
Mine's
longer.
here, man, so.
You're collecting it on your head.
This is true. This is very true. Looking quite radiant.
I don't even think we have a Manscaped ad read today. We were talking about facial hair on yesterday's show.
Just crossed my mind.
Wow.
Wow.
Lars said he likes the fit, Will.
Thank you, sir.
It's looking good. I do those. That might be my new favorite CHGO shirt.
It's
the one that you're
best.
wearing.
I love it.
The
really
pizza
cool.
joint style design.
It's awesome.
It's really good.
I think yours might be my favorite pack.
This new like CTA style one.
Does
I do love this one
Does that
too.
have the train on the back?
Yeah, this
Somebody-
one has the L train on the back of it.
I was dropping off a package at FedEx or something, and
Flex.
the dude asked me, why is that a flex?
If you got packages to drop off.
Just dropping off
You know what I'm
packages
saying?
like
That's
a
how balls
boss.
do. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. But the guy was like, do you work for CTA? And I was like, no.
No.
Was he about to ask you for some free stuff?
Read the name tag. Does that
I was
say
like,
TA?
I don't even know if I could begin to describe to you what I do for work.
That's made up.
But it is not working for the CTA.
And it's not made up.
Fun show on deck today. Also just wrapped up our show that we're going to drop Friday, which was a mailbag episode courtesy of the questions asked from our CHGO diehards in that Discord. So make sure you tune into that on Friday. Today's show, we're going to talk about some of the latest NBA mock drafts from a few different outlets we've seen some movement with this, this draft class where there is no Wemby per se, there's no Zion, and because of that, there's a lot of movement up and down, especially the top half, the lottery half of the first round. Bulls picking at 11th. So we're going to talk about some of those changes we've seen in the latest mocks, including a couple of names that are being sent to the Bulls in these mock drafts, including that G League Ignite product, Ron Holland, who we haven't spoken on too much yet. So let's talk about him. But first, wanted to start with the news as far as NBA entertainment goes. It was Sports Business Journal, among others, but leading the way with the reporting earlier today that the NBA is formalizing written contracts with Disney, a.k.a. ESPN, NBC, and Amazon this week. Sources calling it the final stage of media rights negotiations that may inevitably lead incumbent Warner Brothers, a.k.a. TNT, to take legal action.
What?
Industry sources believe ESPN will ultimately pay $2.8 billion annually. Damn. Other industry sources insist it's closer to $2.6 billion for the league's A package, which would mean the NBA Finals, one of the conference finals, weekly primetime games, WNBA, and shared international rights. NBC, proposing to get the B package from the NBA, is believed to now be worth $2.6 billion and would include a Basketball Night in America show on Sunday nights after the NFL season concludes.
All right.
So basically like the Football Night in America that leads up to Sunday Night Football, they would do that on Sunday nights in the NBA after NFL season ends.
Okay.
A total of 2 primetime windows a week, conference semis, and 1 conference final. Amazon's deal is believed to be worth between $1.8 and $2 billion, essentially the C package, which would likely include the in-season tournament, SoFi play-in tournament, first-round playoff games, the WNBA, and NBA. and international rights. In that Sports Business Journal column, it also indicated that if Warner Brothers Discovery, aka TNT, does in fact lose this NBA contract negotiation, next season, the 24-25 NBA season, will be the final season of TNT NBA basketball, aka the final season of Inside the NBA.
Wow, that's a lot. First, I mean, it's cool.
It's cool.
I think so. I think it's cool.
You're not broken up about.
I'm gonna get to it. But I think this is cool. Like, it's not a terrible deal. Like, it feels like it's more structured. Like, and kind of like it like that. Like, oh, playing tournament strictly Amazon. I know that. Oh, watch my primetime games. I know where to go for that. Oh, I know where to go to get all my NBA now. It's just going to be ESPN. I'll have to search all over for those things. That's cool. You know, inside the NBA, that's going to suck ass. That not having those guys on is going to be terrible. I'm still holding out hope that Amazon tries to strike a deal with Warner Brothers and TNT to get Inside the NBA on Amazon, because if you're an upstart and you're trying to get more eyes on there, why wouldn't you pull basically the biggest show that the NBA has to offer and put it on your network? So I'm looking at them to make that kind of deal. That's the hope I'm holding out. But if that's not the case, man, it's very sad that Inside the NBA wouldn't be around anymore.
Yeah, end of an era.
Yeah.
I'm kind of holding out to have any real judgments before I really know what's going on. I feel like there's just been a lot of negotiating and a lot of like reporting that stuff could happen. But at the end of the day, change is change. And it's sometimes hard to let go of things that you love, like Inside the NBA.
Sure.
It's been a huge part of all of our basketball watching experience for the last however many years. But hopefully just whatever they decide to do next will be really great.
I hope so.
So we'll just have to see. But we've also got a lot of change coming with the Bulls broadcast and where that will end up being. So it's just kind of a crazy situation. And then, you know, what kind of implications does that have for how the salary cap will work, and where's that money being allocated around the league, and how does that change what the Bulls could be potentially able to do with cap space moving forward? So interesting times.
Yeah, you know, speaking of the Bulls and their own TV negotiation that's going on that we still don't know exactly what's happening there. Brazil in the comments saying, "What's up, Bulls Nation? Sad for losing Shaq and the boys. Please tell me Stacey continues calling games." Whether it's they've get an extension on the current NBC Sports Chicago deal, which I think is still maybe on the table, or it's them moving over to, you know, that other one that was reported. Stacey and Adam are technically employees not of a media company, but of the Bulls themselves.
Correct.
So I do not see the Bulls getting rid of what a lot of people across the league think is one of the best broadcasting duos for television and, you know, NBA broadcasts, just because they're switching platforms.
Yeah.
I don't think you got to worry about that.
No, you don't.
But losing Inside the NBA is it's a monumental shift.
Yeah.
And I know, Dave, you just said, hey, maybe they can come up with something if it's on Amazon or wherever. What we've heard from a lot of different outlets is that Ernie Johnson is a ride or die Warner Brothers person, a ride or die TNT person, and will not leave.
Yeah.
Will not leave to go work for a different media company, and might just like go back to exclusively doing baseball on TBS, baseball on TV, whatever else is around that Turner Sports still has rights to. Yeah. He'll do that. I've also heard that Charles Barkley isn't thrilled with the idea of moving to a different company.
He doesn't want to be without Ernie.
But again, it might be that, like, and they've already started cracking jokes about it, like, on the show.
Yeah, it's true.
If we go into next season, I guess maybe the silver lining, if they know it's curtains at the end, like this time next year, if they're getting ready to do their conference final series and it is the curtain call for Inside the NBA, that last month or two's worth of shows are going to be
off the rails.
Lit.
Yeah. And that's why I said, like, to make a deal with the company and not in particular with the talent. Because if you can make the deal with TNT and make the deal with Warner, then he doesn't have to leave. You know, you can actually still stay on there. You'll just be doing Inside the NBA, which will still be a product of TNT, but you'll just be doing it on Amazon. So that's still a possibility, and that's what I'm holding out the hope for, because Ernie is taking that stance. I'm not leaving, and I don't fault him for that. He's been with it since the inception of it, and that's where he's been, and he doesn't want to go. I'm not mad at him at all for that, but there has to be a way that this could go on a little bit longer, And I think that's also the question: how much longer do you go on? Because you bring up that point, Will, about change. Like, it's going to happen. You know, at some point in time, like, it's not going to be on the air. You just don't want it to be a thing where it's forced off. And to a lesser extent, it's kind of like when we lost John Chess in Roundball Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we just didn't want it forced and taken out of our hands. We kind of wanted it to go a little more gradually, you know?
Look, DeMar's 35. He can't play for Outer State.
Hate to tell you.
I hate to tell you. No, but I think that's true. And, you know, who knows how these things materialize. Like, of course, I think Ernie and Chuck probably feel that way while negotiations are ongoing.
Sure.
While, you know, we don't have a resolution. But maybe after that happens, their feelings will change. Maybe like you're saying, there can be a deal between the two companies. Mm-hmm. So just who knows? But obviously, like, inside the NBA is just legendary. And
It is.
It would really suck to lose
And
that.
so there was something in my Twitter feed this morning that I can't remember who tweeted it. It actually may have been quote tweeted by Sarah Santos, who used to work here in
Shout
Chicago,
out.
NBC,
Just watching her on the MLB
MLB show.
Mm-hmm.
They won the like nightly like studio sports like television program Emmy that just happened recently, and they were rattling off all the nominees. NBA Countdown was nominated, and somehow Inside the NBA was not. So I don't know if those are different categories. But if it's NBA Countdown as nightly, studio program, like it's, they don't do NBA Countdown every single night. They just do it the nights that ESPN/ABC have their games and their game rights. I would assume that that's the same category. How the hell? And like that's what I think a lot of NBA fans and Bulls fans among them saying, like, if we lose Inside the NBA on TNT, all we have is whatever Prime does, and then this same shitty like cycle of NBA Countdown people.
Yeah.
ESPN's NBA coverage has been crap for like 10 plus years running now. So the hope is NBC brings the right people in to do that like Basketball Night in America show. And at least we get something good out of that, even if it's not as frequent and as good as Inside the NBA.
So it was in a different category. Inside the NBA when it walked home with 3 Emmys.
Okay, good.
They won Outstanding Studio Show Limited Run.
Limited run. Okay.
And Charles Barkley won for Outstanding Studio Analyst, and Ernie Johnson won for Outstanding Host.
There you go. Okay, well, good. Because I was like about to throw things. Like, how the hell did NBA Countdown even get a nomination?
It's yeah. Who won that? I'm curious who won that category then.
The one that...
Yeah, the one you're talking about.
Oh, it was the MLB Tonight Show.
Okay, yeah. Oh,
that Sierra works on, yeah.
They should. That's really good, man. Honestly, it's really good. Shout out to Sarah Santos.
But yeah, Sports Genius 38 in the comments pointing out John Tesh recording a fresh version of Roundball Rock.
Yeah.
It's been reported that they are reaching out. NBC has reached out to John Tesh to talk about redoing or remaking Roundball Rock.
Do you want to
now that NBC has NBA rights back?
Do I want a remake though?
I just want the original.
Give me, if you want to punch up the original with like modern music making technology that I'm not an expert of any kind in, sure. But like a bunch of people had the performance of Tesh playing at Red Rocks and performing Roundball Rock at Red Rocks going around Twitter. I tweeted it from our team account this morning because I was stoked. And literally, I sat down at my desk to start making our rundowns for both our mailbag show that we just did and this live show that we're doing now.
Flex.
And I could not start actually working on that work until I watched John Tesh perform Roundball Rock in that video on loop like 10 times. I was literally sitting in my desk chair at home just like freaking going nuts.
How many cups of coffee was this?
2. Only 2?
Only 2?
2 cups of coffee.
You do 3.
The rest of the hype was just me watching John Tesh perform Roundball Rock.
That's saying everything.
And thinking
right
back to my childhood.
Wow, that's saying a lot right there.
It's a banger.
It is.
It's like I still have it number 1 in all of the sports television theme songs. It is still my number 1, and it's not close.
Yeah, it gets you hype. It gets you there. It gets you ready for that game. As soon as you hear it, you're ready to see why somebody play.
You hear it, and you're like, MJ's about to drop 40.
Yep. Yeah. And I think that's why you have the number 1. It hits you with the nostalgia feel of winning at the same time. So it's all that intertwined to one. Because I'm sure in your brain, as soon as you hear it, you see the entire intro start playing in your head.
The lasers making the NBC logo, the Peacock logo.
For me, it's more like Ron Mercer's about to score 12.
Oh, God. I don't know how many NBC like Sunday showcase games the Bulls were getting in the Ron Mercer years.
Here comes Eddie Curry.
Man. Oh, you poor child. I'm so sorry. So sorry.
Yeah, Jim saying I can't picture Bulls Knicks without Roundball Rock. Like
Yeah.
And there was some of that really like grainy standard def like footage that they
Yeah.
spliced into the NBC logo coming across the screen.
It sure was.
Patrick Ewing was in there.
Yep.
Barkley was in there. Obviously MJ.
Pat Riley, he was in
Yep.
it too. Phil Jackson, he was in it as well. Yeah, I remember all that. You bring back the memory now.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think it's a fair trade-off that Bulls and NBA fans should have to deal with.
Yeah.
To like lose inside the NBA but get Roundball Rock back.
It's not fair, but
It's not a fair trade.
yeah,
But I do.
yeah,
God, I want Roundball Rock back.
Yeah, man.
And
it's
where
gotta
it
be there.
properly belongs.
correct.
Leading into NBA on NBC,
NBA on NBC,
not collegiate sports or Kevin Hart DraftKings commercials.
Do not pervert the Roundball Rock. Don't do it.
It's desecrating a classic.
He's right. Kind of is.
Jim saying also, yeah, Bob Costas with that 2-minute solo at the beginning talking about the various,
God.
major storylines in that game that we were all about to watch.
Oh man, the Shakespearean effort he would go through,
Man.
to tell you about a game that
Yeah.
you knew somebody was going to
Yeah.
lose by 30.
Before Bob Costas would just occasionally show up to do that for like one Olympic event.
Right.
He was doing it
No.
for NBA games in January. Like it was the highest stakes
Right.
in the world.
On a frigid night.
Oh, God. No, Sidney, you did not miss the NBA draft talk. We are going to get to that right after this first ad break. Just wanted to address the NBA TV rights deal news of the day first.
We'll see.
Because, man.
He said the 3-26 Bulls, led by Ron Mercer, take on the Cleveland Cavaliers. That was you.
Who's not hyped for that? Play
Race
Roundball
to the
Rock,
bottom.
and I will get hyped for that. While we are sharing these words from our sponsors, you know what to do, Bulls Nation. Hit that thumbs up button if you're watching on YouTube, maybe catching the replay on YouTube. Make sure you also subscribe to that CHGO Sports YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Big Dave, who's first today?
Baby Joey. Hit me up.
What's up with Baby Joe?
Yeah, he hit me up, man.
Yeah?
I was just a little concerned about him because I hadn't heard from him in a minute.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Since the last time we talked,
Yeah.
since the Kendrick Lamar thing he told me about. Just want to make sure everything was cool. He told me everything's smooth. He's working on a new movie right now. He won't give me no details on it, but he says it does involve The Rock.
Oh,
Yeah, for some reason, I don't know.
Dwayne The Rock?
interesting.
He didn't specify.
Okay,
He
could
just
be any
said-
rock.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Roundball Rock?
You know what I mean? Whoever it is going to be somebody that's deserving to be called that. So I don't take, I don't do these things, man. It could be anything. Now, see, Will, when you do that, you know what? Some people just don't understand.
They never
They
understood.
never understood. They don't get it.
Never understood.
They don't understand it. Baby Joey don't get it. Real Joey don't get it. Nobody gets it. Why? Why do glasses have to cost so much? It don't. You can look extra cool and save some money. And who can you do that with? Well, the one and only Shady Rays. You get ready for the season ahead with quality shades that are built to last. Our people at Shady Rays have got you covered with them premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Clank, clank. Shady Rays, independent sunglasses company offering that world-class product. 5-star rated by over 300,000 people. That's almost as many people that follow the GOAT. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all your outdoor, and as this man always proves, your indoor adventures. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you are bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. And they probably have got your favorite team's colors. I can say this too because I just bought some Shady Rays, man. They'll be here soon. You know what I mean? I'm very excited about it. I'm going to look extra awesome.
You're gonna look
I'm
health-
very
health-like?
excited. I'm gonna be on point,
Good.
man.
It's a
We
new
gonna
pair
see.
I got.
Yeah, I know. You told me they look cool on you, sir. Look at the smoothness. I'm digging it.
Bringing
I'm
so
digging
many pairs to Vegas.
it. It's gonna be Shady Raid out.
My one carry-on bag, just all Shady Rays. Bathing suit, Shady Rays.
And you can do the same thing, y'all, because exclusively for the listeners out there, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. You can head to ShadyRays.com, use that code CHGO. You will get yourself 35% off of those polarized shades.
That's a good deal.
It is, and I have used it, and it works. Try it for yourself. The shades that are rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people, because the Shady Rays, y'all, with them rays are oh so shady.
What's the code again?
CHGO. Will the GOAT?
Get yourself 35%
35.
off those premium polarized
Yep.
shades.
You can try it for yourself.
Sid B in the comments said Shady Rays sounds like a bootlegger barbecue sauce.
Ooh, fire one.
Yeah, it could be. Well, what we know for sure is that they make very wonderful, affordable, comfortable, and stylish as hell.
Shout out Sweet Baby
sunglasses.
Rays.
Today's show also brought to you by our friends at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. This May, their number one draft pick for all things Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has got to be Ray CDGR in Fox Lake. And right now, it is the season of Memorial Day weekend shopping, holiday shopping. So, not only is May the time to find your next vehicle, you can score huge savings when you do it. For a limited time, lease the new 2024 Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cab for only $419 a month. That's a great lease deal. Or shop over 125 vehicles priced at under $20,000. That is a huge inventory of very, very reasonably priced vehicles. Let the amazing team at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram help you land the perfect vehicle at the perfect price, because they have the Ray's Price Promise. The price you see on their website is the price you'll pay when you go to the dealership and say, I want that car, that price.
I want it.
Ray and his team will do everything they can to find you even more savings when you show up at the dealership, but you will never pay a higher price than the one that you saw listed on their website. That is Ray's promise. So if you're in the market for a new vehicle, you've got to check out the team at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, because they're the only team that we recommend. Visit them today on Route 12 in Fox Lake. For more information, visit Ray CDJR in Fox Lake or raycdjr.com. They've been serving the community since 1963.
Shout out to my main man, Ray.
My main man.
Gotta hit him
up.
Man.
Has Ray hooked you up with a free Chevy truck yet?
When you're sitting there saying, I was like, I gotta hit my man up.
Gotta hit him up.
I gotta check him out. Make sure he cool.
I mean,
Make sure he's watching these playoffs. I'm sure he's gonna have some fire takes.
I'll take a free truck.
Yeah, you will?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I know you love the one you have.
Sure. I do.
Yeah, but you nothing like a Ray one though. Nothing like Ray. That Ray Price Promise?
It's not Ray.
I want a electric F-150.
Oh, that's
Fully
very
electric.
specific.
They make those?
They do. I want one.
He said, they do. F1, that's a truck. I can't see you.
I want one. I don't
Okay,
know. I don't know what to tell you. I hate to tell you.
I tell you.
You know that country song, I Want a New Truck? I want a new truck.
Do it again.
That's all of the country
go write
songs.
that song.
No, do it again, please.
I want a new truck.
Thank you. I love you so.
That's the only line I know from it.
Somebody tell me this song. Anybody know this song? Country song? I want a new truck.
I don't know if it's I want a new truck or I got a new truck.
No,
Jim's like, no.
Hold on.
T, you know? Chris? Is Chris over there? Chris don't know? What they got to do? Hey, come on, dude. Wait till you see the country scene in Chicago. I'm mad to tell you about it. It's pretty ridiculous.
It is a song called New Truck by someone named Dylan Scott. Wow.
Dylan Scott.
Have you heard a more country singer ass name than Dylan Scott? Yeah, honestly, you can flip it around and say Scott Dillon. I'd be like, yeah, that's a country singer.
Oh, that's the guy. Oh, Scott Dillon.
Scott
Scott Dillon. Oh, yeah.
Look at Shirtless right now.
Oh,
Just absolutely soaking in.
Look at the wonder.
I'm sure he's
sitting in
drinking
that
a
zero
Coors.
gravity chair. I love those recliners,
I'm sure
man.
he's drinking a Coors. He's got a Shady Rays on.
Look how smooth he looked. Look at the coolness of this man.
So
Got his
damn smooth.
iPad out. He's
Yeah.
watching us.
Yes, he is. Shout out Shirtless Wonder. Always catching the right vibes.
Living legends.
Absolute legend.
Wind blowing. Yeah. This is his time. It's the time of the wonder. Year of the wonder, ladies and gents. This is how it rolls.
Wonder years, if you
The
will.
wonder years,
Is
even.
Is that like on
Come on,
the Chinese calendar? They got the year of this
That's
animal.
right. Year of
that
the dragon.
animal,
Year
and
of the pig.
Joey didn't believe me.
Year
He
of
went to
the
go
wonder.
look.
Look at Joey, and he is now immersed.
now Joey's just like
He's just stuck in the
creepily
window.
staring at him through the
He
window.
is definitely creepily staring at him through that window. Oh man, I'm there. Wow. All right. Joey
learning
just
the
got
wondrous
lost in the
ways.
wonder.
Joey,
He got lost in the wonder.
Well, one time I opened up the window and I shouted out to him, "Hey, we support you." It's a mutual.
It's a mutual stare.
He
No,
felt
it's
Joey's
mutual
stare and
support,
now he
like-
left.
Hey, he puts out his CHGO
like-
shirts on the balcony.
like someone's
Sometimes I
watching
like
me.
to support him. Like if we had a Shirtless Wonder shirt, I put
think
that out on our balcony.
This is true.
We've had the relationship with the Wonder.
Yeah.
For like a year and a half, 2 years now at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we sometimes overlook how absurd that is.
Why is it absurd?
He just also knew who we were, that he had CHGO gear, that he was watching our shows.
Hey,
and
man.
he just happened to live right across from the studio. What a
Just happened to be there.
what a wonderful world we're living in.
we got to go hang out at the store.
We do
as
gotta
well.
go to
Shout
the
out
store. You're right. We do
I
gotta
also
go hang out.
I I have a LeBron as a douche T-shirt that's due to me apparently
This
that
is
he
true.
saw and gifted to me.
This is one that's going to hook him up.
Wow.
Sounds like someone ripped off Huey Lewis.
What a time to be alive.
Andrew said, you don't care nothing about no Dylan Scott. Say ripping off
Dylan
Huey
Scott,
Lewis
Scott
and the
Dillon.
news. Not wrong.
Yeah.
Warren
Dermot
Truitt.
Mulrooney, Dylan McDermott. Sure. Let's talk draft, y'all. Combine was last week. Go, you got a chance to chat with a lot of these lottery prospects that were there doing the Combine in Chicago. And there have been a lot of outlets that have put out new, updated mock drafts since the Combine and all the information we learned at the Combine. And a couple of interesting names that have fallen to the Bulls in these various mock drafts, some of which we've talked about, some of which we haven't. So let's start with somebody that we haven't talked about as much recently, and that is Ron Holland, who played for the G League Ignite this past season. ESPN's fresh mock draft that just dropped this morning has Ron Holland falling to the Bulls at 11. A lot of places have had Holland as a top 10 prospect thus far in their mocks. This little nugget from Jonathan Gavoni on the ESPN's mock article is what he had to say about Holland. The Bulls have been treading water for several years. Everybody takes their free shot at the Bulls. And are now staring at an aging roster with few prospects for improvement internally. Double free shot at the Bulls. Rolling the dice on this 18-year-old prospect like Holland, at one point ranked number 1 in his high school class and a strong candidate at the top of this draft, could make sense at this point in the draft for the Bulls. Holland's competitiveness, aggressiveness, and scoring instincts give him a chance to emerge as a very productive NBA player as his perimeter shooting and decision-making continue to evolve. And that obviously being a trigger word for Bulls fans, shooting and needing to evolve.
Yeah.
Right? That's what catches your ear.
Yeah.
And then you look at his G League stats from this past season where he shot 24% from behind the three-point line. Not exactly the strong element of his game and something that might come around. This is a dude who averaged 20 points per game for the G League Ignite this past season, Will.
Yeah, 21.5 points per 75 possessions. And he was productive, but I think most importantly, he is considered to be like one of the biggest upside swings, one of the like best chances for like superstardom in this draft. And so that's why I think he will ultimately be off the board by the time the Bulls are drafting at number 11, but measured 6'6.5", 6'10.75 wingspan with a 38-inch vertical. Those are the tools. Like you got the length, you got the size, the athleticism, the bounce. That's all stuff AK really likes. Obviously, the jump shot is a work in progress, but he's a good slasher. He's a good scorer.
Yeah.
Really good defensive player, high motor, really gets up into guys. I think he's like ready to defend at the NBA level today. And that really is kind of the recipe or the blueprint of what AK has sought in the draft. So I think, you know, a lot of people have compared him to like an RJ Barrett or to a Jaylen Brown at the very high end. And like, you know, I think that's the kind of swing AK kind of needs to make in this draft. Like you could either go with someone you feel comfortable contributing or you could go with like a big swing. And maybe the odds of a big swing hitting in this draft are a little bit lower than usual. So maybe that pushes you more towards a safer pick. That's fine. But I think if you do want to go for the upside, and maybe that scares some teams off and ultimately leads him to be available for the Bulls at 11, I think he has a chance to be really good. But I think at the very least, he's going to be a very good defender, good athlete, can get out and transition, just has some of the same challenges and struggles in his game that guys like Dalen Terry and, you know, some of the other wings that AK has looked at.
Yeah, and like I think the other thing that he has that I think is NBA ready is that his size. You know what I mean? Like his body, and he's like sturdy. He's ready. Like he's built. Like there are a bunch of guys we can look at and talk to that we speak about who were like, well, he's got to put on an extra 10 pounds. You know what I mean? And then we'll see what he looks like. You could have said it about Chet Holmgren, for God's sakes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he comes in already having that size. But it just feels like such a Bulls player when we sit here and we read everything that he has and everything that he does. An athlete that could get downhill with that motor, you know, can't really shoot, but is a terror inside, you know, and a good rebounder also. You know, I don't want to leave that on him either. But a guy who just, they're like, well, if he has a three-point shot, he's that guy. Like, I could pull out 3 players right now for the Bulls I can point that at, you know, 3-point shot, and maybe he can be something. So I mean, I guess you would take a swing on something like that. Will saying that, with that athleticism and what he has ready as far as defensively, he probably won't be there. He's a guy that can walk in and contribute. That's always what you want at the top of the draft, is somebody who can walk in and contribute today on either side of the floor, but especially on the defensive end, because you got everybody already trying to score. And that was kind of the things we liked about Julian Phillips, is because we felt he can come in and contribute defensively immediately. This dude can come in and do it with the size that he has. I think the size is really what reason I like him, so much, is because of that size. I don't have to say, well, let's see how he can handle, getting hit a couple times. I don't have to worry about that with this dude, man.
Can I ask a question about that? I'm curious because I think FIBA had him listed at 6'9". He initially, before he went to G League Ignite, committed to Texas Hook 'em, and they listed him at 6'8".
Yeah.
And so I was a little surprised that he measured in at 6'6.5", and I think that a lot of the casual fans and observers were expecting a player that was probably closer to 6'8", 6'9". I think some people would even think 6'10", and a true 4. And so I was surprised to see it. Was there any talk of that at the combine?
There was some discussion about the accuracy of some of these measurements. Initially, I think Stephon Castle measured at 6'2", and everybody's like, dude, he's 6'5" at least. And so then ultimately it was updated and he measured 6'5.5". The thing I'll say is these are measurements without shoes, and obviously you play in shoes, but just to get a standardized height where you're not my shoes are a quarter inch taller than yours.
Correct.
So I think he ultimately is a little bit taller than that when he's on the court. And this almost 6'10" wingspan, 6'11" wingspan, that's a really good sign. I think GMs and basketball evaluators feel like if you have a big plus wingspan like that, where your wingspan is 4 inches longer than your height, that puts you in a position to be able to guard multiple guys, especially as an athlete. But he's as I look through the top 15 or so in this draft class, it's he's really the only one that I could look at and say, I could see a starting 3 of the future in this player. And I think that's just such an important piece of the puzzle when you look at a lot of these teams, when you look at DeMar's age and needing to ultimately kind of push into the next generation of Bulls. You've got a backcourt with Kobe and Io in some way. Mm-hmm. Patrick could be the 4. Julian Phillips, Dalen Terry are kind of 3-4s, but Ron Holland could really be your 3 of the future if he hits.
Our guy Fish in the comments asking about Holland's free throw percentage with the G League Ignite, because we mentioned the poor 3-point shooting. He did shoot 75.5% from the free throw line. And you mentioned his defense being NBA ready, Will. He had 2.5 steals per game for the G League Ignite with that length and with that,
that motor, man.
That motor, that lateral quickness, which Bulls fans, I think, are looking forward to, and having it from someone who is in a frame slightly bigger than Alex Caruso's. So, it's interesting to see if he will fall that far. Again, that is ESPN's latest mock has Holland falling to the Bulls at 11. And then, when you think about risers and fallers in these mock drafts, especially for a class like this that is just there's so many unknowns as far as who deserves to be top 5, who deserves to be top 10, who might end up being a steal that falls. There are some trends you see of guys who are rising that might push some of these guys down who Bulls fans thought was going to be out of our reach.
That's true.
Reza Shea is climbing so fast. Some people are projecting him to go over Sarr now as number 1 overall, which is crazy.
Wow.
But, you also have Dalton Connect flying up a lot of people's draft boards in these latest mocks, I've noticed. That's somebody we talked about with our buddy Corey from No Ceilings on one of our shows last week. And, who's the other French prospect? Tijan, what's his name?
Tijan Salaun.
Salaun, yeah. I know a lot of Bulls fans are stoked about him. He is now flying up people's draft boards.
Yeah,
ESPN's latest mock has him at 8, whereas a lot of mocks before the draft lottery and earlier this spring had him in the teens somewhere.
He's the true upside, Giannis, but also Ousmane Dieng type of player, where it's this guy, Pokusevski, a real big upside swing. The tools are there. He's long, he's big, he's athletic, he's physical, he's young, he can't shoot. Sometimes he looks like he has no idea what he's doing out there, but the tools are interesting.
Favorite.
So I think people are excited about him. But that's the thing about this draft is like,
Yeah.
you know, the Rockets drafting at 3 could love Reed Shepherd, for example.
Right.
But like,
Basketball Joey.
if they weren't, but if they didn't take him, if the Rockets didn't take him at 3, he might fall to 14.
Yeah.
Because all these other teams don't like him. So it only takes one team to jump on a guy. But like, that's really the like variability that we're talking about here is like a guy could go 3 or he could be available for the Bulls at 11.
Yeah.
But he could be mocked at, 4 for like in most of the mock drafts. So it's so hard to predict.
A great example of that is SB Nation's newest mock that is, I think, 1 or 2 days old, had Kentucky's Rob Dillingham falling all the way to the Bulls at 11.
Wow.
And a lot of people have him going top 5.
Yeah, seriously. That's all I've heard about him is doing that. Will, how much of this change do you expect to see leading up to the draft?
In terms of
the mock drafts that we're talking about here.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, but I think it would not surprise me if like a lot of these names are just continually flipping back and forth because you're trying to figure out fit, you're trying to figure out upside, you're trying to figure out who likes who personality-wise, where do guys fit. There's just so many variables, and none of these guys have really established themselves. So one good game by Salaun in a French league playoff game could rocket his status up from 15 to 8, and that's kind of what just happened.
Reminds me a little of the 2022 draft, which was the first year we did this. Remember? I mean, it was a lot more top heavy, but even amongst there was a clear top 3. But remember, for a long time, it seemed like Jabari Smith was going number 1, then Chet, and we were sitting here. And while we were doing the show, the rumors started leaking. No, the Magic are actually going to take Paolo, but that literally went up until 20 minutes before the draft, where it was like, no, Paolo's actually the consensus favorite to be.
There was like
pick.
a consensus top 3, and like in this draft, there is, but it's like way more fluid. I think than even that.
There was a lot, but still, even with that, you saw it flip flopping right until the last second.
He's absolutely right. Yeah, it was.
Let's knock out our second ad break right there. Then we will come back, dive into more of these risers and fallers on the latest NBA mock drafts from a handful of different outlets across the NBA world, and where the Bulls might find themselves and who they might find themselves with at that pick, number 11. Hit that like button right now. If you didn't do it the first time around, do it for our friend Troll Joe. Do it for the person he sometimes babysits, Baby Joe. Do it for all of the Joe family. They need the thumbs.
Yes. You need it.
Dave, who's next?
Beer.
Yes.
That's also what the Joe family needs.
Yes, they do.
Tons and tons of that.
Not Baby Joe. Yeah, he's too young.
No, not Baby Joe. Baby Joe don't get down.
I'm going to wait till he's like, well, you know what?
Tell me he's not a fan.
This is a Coors Light race. I'm going to wait until he's 21 to finish his first beer.
That's exactly right. He said he's not a fan, but he said when he hits 21, he will be a fan of Coors Light.
Of course he will.
Yes, he will. Why? Because he understands chilling. It's one thing he get. That's what we all understand. It's how to chill, how to relax. Because you can be stressed out. Hello. That's because he doesn't have a tank top on, guys.
I got mad doing a mailbag episode.
Yes, he did. He got quite upset. And still more time in this show, so stay tuned. Between work, social media, and all the choices life throws our way, it's no wonder we're a little bit more worked up. But Coors Light celebrates rising above and choosing a chill mindset. Why not turn that rained out barbecue into the Will the Goat Gottlieb Tear It Down 15th annual karaoke house party?
Tear it down.
Oh, it gets
15th annual.
15th day, it gets down up in there, ladies and gentlemen.
That's going to be in 2039.
Oh, yeah.
First one's this year.
Yes, featuring Dylan Scott.
Yeah, or Scott Dillon.
Or Scott Dillon, yeah.
Both schedules make an appearance.
That's true. Or after a tough loss, settle scores with an ice cold peace offering. Here's for you, here's for me. Thank you. Make the choice to choose chill. Then reach for a Coors Light. It's mountain code of refreshment. Because when those mountains turn blue, it's as cold as the Rockies. Coors Light, cold lager, cold filter, cold package for smooth the finish. When you embrace a chill mindset, it's a good time to choose chill. Crack open that Coors Light, as Matt has been doing. Mountain cold refreshment, y'all. Crisp and refreshing as those Colorado Rockies. So make the most out of your time. And always, and I mean always, choose chill. Choose Coors Light, always. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door via Instacart by going to CHGO basketball. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Little known fact, the word Rockies actually starts spelled H-A. Rockies is just what you said.
I see what you did there, Matt. Now I was thrown off because you're the grammar police. So when the grammar cop cracks a grammar joke,
I love when you throw extra syllables in front of words.
Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Keeps the people on their toes.
That's what I do. I love to do that. You got to keep them up there, man. That's why I be game time and Joey when I do it. You got to keep them up there on your toes and ready to go.
Rockies.
Rockies. It's a Rockies.
All right.
And the 15th annual Will Cosby karaoke party.
Someone failed to tell me about that.
Oh, wait.
You're invited next year.
Thank you.
Today's show also brought to you by our friends at Circus Sportsbook, who offer always that tight money line split and their low hold model. Striving to have minus 110 odds out of the gate for whatever game that you want to be betting on with game spreads, point total over unders, unlike a lot of their competitors who these days will have those starting odds at minus 115 or minus 120 for no good reason at all, just because they are keeping that value in their pockets instead of putting it in yours where it should be.
Yeah, it should.
They also, Circa, do not limit their players based on recent winnings. Everyone who plays with Circa has the same limits, unlike other sports bettors who limit their winning players. They also have unquestionably the very best customer service in the world of sports bettors. Real people behind that Circa brand who resolve any issues you might have in a very timely fashion, unlike other sports books who use the dreaded chatbots. Did we learn nothing from Terminator? Skynet could happen. Down with machines.
Damn.
All aspects of the Circa app are being run by the same team that run their main Circa Sportsbook at Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. Been there, can testify, can vouch. Incredible place, incredible staff. Wonderfully helpful.
All true.
Download that Circa Sports Illinois app at circasports.com/Illinois-app to sign up today. Be on the lookout also for Circus events, watch parties, and tailgates, including our CHGO Cubs Friday 120 Club. Every home Cubs game, Friday afternoon, 120 first pitch in the bleachers this season. Pre-gaming at Murphy's. Circa's out there hanging out with our guys, Cody and Greg, and all you crazy Chicago Cubs fans.
Shout out.
If you or someone you know may have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. Text GAMB to 833-234 or visit areyourreallywaiting.com. All right, let's talk some more draft stuff.
Let's hit it.
So interesting risers and fallers. I mean, what I do like Holland and somebody else in the comments earlier mentioned the fact that, like, He's 19, a young prospect. Gavoni mentioned that in his write-up for ESPN's new mock that came out this morning. He won't turn 19 until July.
Yeah, I was about to say, I thought he was 18.
He's 18 and then some.
July 7th.
His birthday is coming up this summer. But, again, a player like that, depending on what their profile is from the people who do this scouting at the professional level, gives Bulls fans pause, I think. Yeah. Because if you hear he's going to turn 19 in July, played, one season of G League basketball. The diehard, mailbag that we just recorded that's going to drop for y'all on Friday, we had a conversation about the struggles of developing young talent in the G League that can then translate to NBA growth and NBA success and NBA development. An age and a resume like that, as far as Ron Holland's come up, may scare some Bulls fans.
No, it honestly probably should scare some Bulls fans because they've shown they have a type. They understand they like the tall, they like the length, they like the toolsy guy who certain things they got to work on, usually shooting is what they have to work on. I can't think of a draft pick outside of Pat who's come in and just had that shooting already there, ready to go. Dalen's still working on it. Julian's working on it. Ayo worked on it and became really good at it. So they have a type that they want to get. Even Ayo being 6'4", but he still was lengthy. You know what I mean? Still that wingspan, still that defense, still that transition. You know what I mean? You should be a little concerned, because we haven't seen it develop into what we want it to develop into yet for some of these players. And if you're getting this young man, obviously he's 18 years old, going to be 19. That's going to take a couple more years, to get him to that point. It might be on par with a team that's rebuilding. But again, we don't know yet what kind of rebuilding the Bulls are going to do. It might be on par with that, a couple years, then we'll see what he looks like, and then we can move forward. But just if I'm judging it off of what they have gotten and the guys that have, quote-unquote, developed here, I don't see why Bulls fans shouldn't be a little concerned.
Yeah, I get that. But I also think, whether or not the Bulls have had success success with it. And I think there's varying degrees of yes and varying degrees of no.
Sure.
Like, you can teach players how to shoot. You cannot teach players how to be 6'7",
You cannot.
athletic, 38-inch
Can't teach
vertical. Like
size.
that's stuff that, and you also can't like get that in free agency. Like, you could get that in a trade if you were to sell one of your great players, but the Bulls haven't done that. So the way that you bring in young talent and kind of rebuild on the fly, which is what it seems like the Bulls are trying to do, they're bringing in young players to develop alongside DeMar and Vooch and Zach as they get better. Then ultimately I think the team will shift more towards them. But like, that's the way you get those players. I don't think it's a bad thing that AK has prioritized upside in these draft picks. In fact, I think it's a really good thing because that's the only way you can get it. And so using an 11th pick on a shot at upside, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think it's smart. Now, putting the player development in place, you know, teaching guys how to shoot, putting them in situations to get better, making sure that they have a role where they can explore some of those things in their game to where they can get better at them, that's a separate conversation. And I think they've obviously begun to place more of a priority on that, certainly last year when they brought in Peter Patton. So I think that's the right approach, honestly, especially if you're unwilling to, you know, go down. Like, you do have to take swings on upside because that's how you get the talent.
Sure.
And as we talked about in the show that we'll drop for you guys on Friday,
Flex.
you need a top 10, top 5, top 15 guy in the league in order to compete at a high level. That's really the only way you can do it, is take swings on talent. So I don't think it's the wrong approach. I think it's probably a smart thing, but at the same time, you need to have the right infrastructure and player development to help those guys get to that level. Because I think there is a difference, as we've talked about, between a guy who can shoot the ball like Io and a shooter like, I don't know, some name, Max Strus, Duncan Robinson. Those guys are like shooters.
Right.
And the Bulls don't have that guy.
Game playing guys.
And I don't know that there really is a version of that in this draft. I think Reed Shepard's probably the closest
Basketball
thing.
Joey.
But I think he'll be gone far before the Bulls pick. So I don't know. I don't have a problem with taking swings, especially in this kind of draft, but it also is kind of, it does conflict with the Bulls' kind of approach of winning now and like putting talent on the floor that can help them compete now. So
But
it's really hard to do both things at once.
I think you're right, especially in this draft, because I don't think, and as we've been discussing, there's anybody you just go in and just be like, okay, yeah, we got this guy. We don't have to develop. We can bring him in and he's good. Anybody who picks anybody in this draft is going to have to develop this dude after over a year or two. You know, that's what it's going to take, no matter what, you know, or how you're looking at what the Bulls should do.
And if there were questions about these guys, they'd be picked 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the fact that they have those questions is what might make them available to the Bulls. And that's why the value could be there.
That's a great point.
One of Ron Holland's G League Ignite teammates, somebody we have brought up before, somebody you got a chance to speak to at the Combine last week, Will, somebody with some Chicago ties, Matas Buzelis, is another one of those names that has started to slip a little bit in certain mock drafts. So in the fresh ESPN one that came out today, he is going 5th overall to Detroit. However, in Bleacher Report's latest, he falls to the Bulls at 11.
Wow.
And, you know, speaking on the uncertainty of so many of these prospects in this class, the notes from Bleacher Report on Buzelis. On one hand, scouts are drawn to Matas Buzelis' scoring versatility and defensive playmaking flashes. On the other, still doesn't have one skill that NBA teams can bank on translating. He did measure near 6'9" in socks at the Combine. The wingspan just came in at 6'10". Results and feelings on the 19-year-old wing continue to be mixed. Workouts will be extra important for Buzelis, who came to the Ignite with expectations of being a solid shooter, but finished at 26% from 3. Whoa. So we did touch on that when we played a clip of you chatting with him last week on one of last week's shows, Will. The fact that he does not seem concerned about the fact that his three-point shot did not go so well in his season with G League Ignite. Like, he is just one example of somebody falling a bunch of spots in one of the NBA media landscape's more trusted mock drafts, most looked at mock drafts, falling 6 spots after the Combine because people don't know.
Yeah.
There are so many unanswered questions with so many of these prospects in this class.
That's a great way to put it. You're falling because in the end you just don't know.
Maybe this guy's better.
Right? You know
Maybe
what I mean?
this guy's worse.
And will Udetto, like these next few weeks of whatever kind of scrimmage or anything that they're doing, workouts, is going to be huge, for these guys and how they move up and down the board. But him, and as you talked about, just not being able to teach size, he's the kind of guy I take a swing on because of that size of 6'9" to 6'10". I want my swings to be taken on guys with that kind of size. And I'm not saying they're all out there, obviously. But if you have that kind of skill set that we're talking about with Ron Holland, and it's still things that need to develop and you still need to figure some stuff out, but you're figuring out at a guy who is 6'10", for me, that's a little bit, I feel a little more comfortable than getting, this is just me talking, I feel a little bit more comfortable than getting another guy 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", that might be, because now I'm thinking, okay, we got like 4 of them dudes. You know what I mean? Like, okay, which one is going to play where? How's he going to fit where? It's the same question I have at guard with us. Like, I need somebody who can stand out a little bit and be like, oh, wow, okay, yeah, now let's figure you out first. I got a perfect spot for you. There's nobody here, so let's go with that. So that's how I look at it when I'm talking about size and looking at it, Will.
Yeah, you're talking about Matas?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think I actually didn't read that blurb from what you just read, Matt, and that's like my feeling about it too. Is like I don't feel like I know the one skill that you can bank on with him. Mm-hmm. Whereas like Holland, I know you're going to get defense. I know you're going to get like elite athleticism, and Matas tested very well athletically too. So I'm not saying he isn't a NBA ready athlete. He absolutely is. He's bigger. He's got the same vertical. He's longer. So I'm not saying he can't be that, but I feel like you got to squint with both of these guys. And when I squint and look at Ron Holland, I can see like the archetype of a Jaylen Brown or a, RJ Barrett. With Matas, it's like a little bit harder to imagine what that would look like. Cause he really like in high school, he was pegged as a shooter. Yeah. And now he's like a shooter who can't shoot. And
that's the worst.
And I don't feel like his form is like really convincing to me. Whereas like I already know Holland can't shoot, so I'm not banking on that.
Right.
But with Matas, it's like, yes, I think his like help side defense is really good. He blocked a lot of shots. I think he can be a good defender, not just survive out there. Mm-hmm. And I think he'll also be gone. I think he's another guy that like he does have more upside than some of these other guys in the top 10. So teams will like that about him. Mm-hmm. I think I just slightly prefer Holland at this point, but. Yeah, I mean, like a couple of years ago, last time the Bulls had a first-round pick, we were talking about Jalen Williams a lot.
Yeah.
And Jalen Williams was somebody that was awesome at the Combine, and then he did great in the scrimmages at the Combine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's a month between the end of the Combine and when the draft happens. And, like, that was kind of the start the Combine was of, like, when people started to realize him, and all of a sudden he's going from 26, 27 on mock drafts to, like, 18, 19, and we're like, oh, maybe the Bulls could get this guy. I really loved him as a prospect.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden on draft night, 2 weeks later, it's like, oh my God, he's going to go in the lottery.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's almost surprising he didn't go sooner. And knowing what we know now, he should have. But like nothing actually took place in order for that rise to happen. It was just like the time in between.
Yeah.
And so
anticipation.
I feel like both of these guys are going to have moments where they slide back and slide up. But these two in particular, I think more than some of these other guys in the top 10 have upside going for them. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think either will be available to them at the end of the day. But, if you're asking me to pick between the two, I probably lean towards Holland, even though I think both of them could be really good NBA players.
Can I ask you just a quick question? Is there someone you're confident in that will not fall out of the top 10? Like they might change as far as might go 2 to 8 or 8 to 2, but do you feel like there's players that will not fall out of that top 10?
I feel like the top 10 is pretty secure.
Okay.
I mean, Sar and Reza Shea right now seem like
they feel like Reza Shea could fall.
You think he could?
Not outside of top 10, but I think he could end up going closer to 10 than 1. Just because I think he's a role player. Like he's a 3-and-D guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's going to be a good defender and he's going to be a good shooter, but like he can't really do much with the ball in his hands. And I think
I have not been super impressed with the tape of him I've watched this far, but it's just like his name keeps getting thrown out there.
Yeah, because
to a point where now it's just like his name's flying up mock drafts. Is there a reason for it? Doesn't seem like it.
Every team could use him. Literally every team in the league. He's like Caruso in that sense. Like everybody's going to want him, but he's also not going to be a star player. And so if you're the Wizards or something and you've just torn your team apart and you're looking for upside, you don't want to take him. You want to take somebody who could potentially be a star.
Yeah.
Because I think he could be a very good starter, but I don't think he is going to be a star player. But I mean, you look at like Sar, Topic, Castle, Holland, Shepard, Dillingham, Buzelis, Reese, Cody Williams, Klingon, Connect. That's my top 11, and I think I feel pretty good about all those guys going in the top 11.
Okay.
But it could be in any order.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a couple of other guys I think could creep up a little bit. Salone.
Castle has fallen in a couple of mocks.
I would love if the Bulls were able to get
From
Castle.
like being a top 5 pick to like I think ESPN today had him at 10.
Yeah, I was surprised by that.
Yeah, if they get Castle, that'll
but
change.
he
my
was
thinking about size, for sure.
he was adamant about I want to be a point guard.
Yeah.
Like he said that to me. He said that to everybody in the media when he was there. And so I think, and then there was a report that he was like resistant to teams like the Blazers and the Hornets who have point guards already.
Yeah, right there ready.
So maybe that pushes him down a little bit. I think he could end up being a point guard, but I also think like you need multiple playmakers. You need multiple guys that can put the ball on the floor and create. And so, yeah, I think Castle would be a great fit. But Salone, I think, could rise up. I think Devin Carter could rise up into the lottery for sure. But that's I feel pretty comfortable with those 11 guys being the top 11 guys.
Okay.
Devin Carter, 13th in Bleacher Report's newest mock, going 16th to Philly in ESPN's brand new mock from this morning.
Don't do that.
Shout out to Lars, who had a very healthy perspective on this Bull situation at 11 in the comments, saying, ultimately, I think 11 is a good spot to be in because there's like 10-plus guys who are 11th pick level talent, and half of them are going to go before number 11.
Okay.
I see your logic.
Sound logic.
I see your logic, and I don't hate it.
Yeah, sound logic.
If you
meanwhile,
if you look at the consensus board that I put together,
yep,
you have 2 players who are averaged at 4. You have 3 players that are averaged at 6. You have 2 players that are averaged at 7. You have 1 player. You have 2 players between 9.9 and 10.9, and then you have a 12.8. So, and that's 13 guys. So, like, there's just so much variability in where these guys end up, and I think even more between some of these guys, depending on who you'd ask. That Reese could go 2, he could go 11. So, I think that's absolutely right. That like the Bulls. I think in some ways in this draft better to be picking within the same tier but towards the end of it because you'll let the other people take their swings. Maybe they hit, maybe they make mistakes, but you're not going to be necessarily criticized for who you take because everybody's in the same tier and you just got the last one.
Yeah, very true.
Speaking of that, another plug to sign up to become a CHGO diehard if you aren't already. You know about all the perks, the best of the best content-wise, the discounts when you shop at that CHGO merch locker, a free shirt of your choice when you sign up, discounts to all of our fun events like our Bears party, our draft party that we did last month. We got tons of events coming up this summer between the baseball cruise. We're going to have a live draft party on draft night, live show from a remote bar, TBD on where that is. What?
Is that breaking news?
Kind of, yeah. I don't know if we mentioned that yet, but it is official. Location TBD very soon. We will be doing a live draft night show from a bar here, probably in West Loop somewhere, and inviting y'all, our fellow Bulls fans, to come hang out and watch the draft with us.
I just never heard it with that sound.
And then, of course, the latest and greatest reason to sign up to become a CHGO diehard if you aren't already is to get access to the GOATS draft database where you can look at this composite mock draft, his big board of all of these first round prospects, every bit of info, not only their bios, their measurements from the combine, but all of their advanced stats, box score stats per 75 possessions, shooting efficiency, rebounding usage, defense, advanced metrics, all you need all in one place. Look at that. Look at that.
It's glorious.
You want to waste time on the GOATS big draft database instead of like your chores, hang out with your family and friends. Right. No, you want to be here.
It'll make you smarter.
Sign up to become a diehard.
It's a guarantee.
Conversely to Lars, who is feeling pretty good in the comments about where the Bulls are at 11. Shout out to Chocolate Salty Bulls also, who said, I haven't been this excited about a draft class since the Bulls selected Marcus Fizer. Ooh. Hashtag wake me when it's over. Ooh. I assume that was a sarcastic level of excitement.
I was not excited that draft.
The 2000 draft class, man.
Man, and I knew they were getting fired. I wasn't excited at all because I remember the tournament. I remember watching it being like,
for those of you youngins who don't remember, or those of you old folks who don't remember because your memory's starting to go. I just pulled it up when I saw that comment and said, dear God, Marcus Fizer. A name that, as a Bulls fan, I tried to permanently delete from my brain anytime it comes up again. Delete it. 4th overall pick.
4th.
Kenyon Martin was the number 1 that year.
I remember.
Stromile Swift.
It wasn't
2.
a great draft.
Darius Miles, 3. Mike Miller went 5th.
Yeah.
DeMar Johnson out of Cincy went 6th. Chris Mim, 7th, also to the Bulls.
Chris Mill.
Jamal Crawford went 8. Joel Prisbilla, 9. And Keon Dooling rounding out the top 10. That 2000 draft class was dog shit.
Marcus Fizer's career stats with the Bulls are eerily similar to Patrick Williams.
That is depressing.
10 points, 5 rebounds, 1.2 assists. That's literally identical.
The player comp
Fourth overall
for
pick?
Matas Buzelis in Bleacher Report's latest mock draft, also a product of that 2000 draft class, and someone who didn't suck, Hito Turkoglu.
Hito.
He went 16th to the Sacramento Kongs.
Ooh, that was a bad draft.
It was. But, I mean,
loved Hito.
Turkoglu came in and
Hito-
played a solid role on a good Kings team
On 2 teams.
out of the gate.
No, in the Kings and the Magic. He
Yeah,
was huge.
Yeah,
on both
the
of those
Orlando
teams.
team that went to the 09 finals
Yeah, man.
with young Dwight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the Western Conference Finals Kings team that got screwed.
Yeah, yeah.
Turkoglu was on that team.
Yes, he was. That's where we know him from, man.
Q Rich went 18th in that draft class.
Shout out.
Jamal McGlure. Woo!
Jamal McGlure.
Speedy Claxton.
Oh, the legend.
And then, of course, the guys who went head-to-head in some epic tourney battles, Mateen Cleaves and Morris Peterson, both in that 2000 draft class.
I was a huge
Mo
Peterson
Peterson
fan, bro.
Mo!
Huge Mo Peterson fan.
Oh,
bro.
and we got to shout out one of Sabine's favorites, Deshaun Stevenson.
Oh, yes, his
2000
boy.
draft class.
Loves Deshaun Stevenson. Yes, he does.
And who could forget Bulls legend Dalibor Bagaric?
Trash.
Good God.
That's where you bring in the flag.
Good God, that 2000 draft class,
Trash.
man. Okay, low bar. Let's just hope that the Bulls' 11th pick and
Don't
this
trip
24
over it.
draft class overall better than 2000 draft class.
Just don't trip over the low bar. Like, we'll be all right, man.
We shall be all right.
Good God.
We shall persevere. That is it for today. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Hit the like button on your way out if you didn't do it yet. We really appreciate it. It helps us out a lot. Make sure you also subscribe to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel, 55,000 and change and growing. Dave and I, you'll be back for a fresh show tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
We're going to talk. We might bring in a guest. We'll see.
Maybe.
Go. You're jetting off to Paris
He's out.
tomorrow.
Peace out.
Enjoy the vacay.
Be
Enjoy
safe.
the time.
Thank you.
Take,
deserve it.
See you
take
guys.
care.
Turn your brain off. I know
Go
it's
eat
hard.
all the pastries.
See if I can bring you back a baguette.
No, it's
Baguette.
hard, man. Turn that brain off.
Look for Joey's
Come on,
hoodie that he
babe.
left behind.
I will look for Joey's hoodie that he left behind.
Until tomorrow, same time, same place, 4 p.m. Central, we will be here. You can follow Will the Goat, Will_Gottlieb. Go to allchgo.com. Find his draft database if you are a diehard. If you aren't a diehard, sign up and then go find it. Big Dave is at BAWL Sports on Bulls_Peck. Our panel producer on the controls is Joyce Mathis. He is at Joyce Mathis. We are CHGO_Bulls. We will talk to you tomorrow. Have a great night. Enjoy Game 1, Western Conference Finals.
Woo!
Get your bets in at Circa. See you right. Be good.
Peace.
We